Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. First of all, I would like to congratulate GIO Kerala, GIO Malappuram for this program, for ensuring that the voices of Muslim women, that the struggles of Muslim women, that the experiences of Muslim women are always there at the forefront. That Muslim women have a space to speak for themselves and to improve the society in which they exist. This is a remarkable struggle. This is a remarkable movement of which so many of us have learned from. Those of us in universities, those of us who may not be formally connected to GIO, those of us who are not from Kerala, all of us are indebted to the fact that Muslim women have come together in a community framework to improve not just their own lives but of the society in which they exist. We all know that this is a temporary world. We are merely travelers. But even a temporary world and a temporary home has to be reformed, has to be redefined, has to be reorganized. Perhaps not for ourselves, but for those who will come after us. Recently, I saw a photograph of one of GIO Kerala's programs where there was a space set aside for babies, infants, toddlers, not just to play in, but also to sleep, to rest for their mothers. And it got me thinking. I know this is a common practice there in many of your programs and many of your spaces, but it got me thinking. That little scene, that little microcosm, is a representation of the larger dream that we all have to reorganize society, to reorganize our families, our movements, our organizations, our political spaces, our universities, such that they are designed keeping the needs, the desires, the aspirations and the hopes of Muslim women and of all women in mind. This is what we dream of. Even if this is a temporary home, it has to be redesigned with keeping justice in mind, keeping equity in mind, keeping access in mind, keeping sensitivity in mind. And that is why I congratulated you not just on this program, but on your longer history of ensuring justice in all realms. Coming to the topic of the twin oppressions of appropriation and silencing and outright violence, I think that we are very well aware that we live in a very difficult time. We live in a time where Hindutva has, more than the political arena, has seeped into the social fabric of every home and every space that is designed to keep Muslims, Dalits, minorities, persons with disabilities, oppressed castes, historically marginalized groups out. It is a reshaping, and it is a long reshaping, much beyond any government came to power, of public space that should only be accessible to a few. And in this context, we are very well aware that women, and Muslim women in particular, have a unique vulnerability. We are very visible. As practicing Muslim women, we are not afraid to practice our faith because we do it for Allah Ta'ala, not for anybody else. It is not a show of identity, it is not a show of resilience or rebellion, but it is something that is an aspect of our ibadat, of our piety, of our complete and total submission. So, for those of us who believe that there is complete and total submission to the Supreme Creator, there is nothing to fear and there is nothing to get depressed about. Of course, it is natural to feel afraid, but it is also important to remember that if there is a Firaun and there are many Firauns in our time. We have also been tasked to go up to the oppressor and try to instill some humanity in him. And if that oppressor is incapable of feeling any humanity, then it is our duty to stand for justice. And that is what Muslim women are doing. The media was very interested in Shaheen Bagh because it saw that Muslim women are coming out of their spaces for the first time. And we all know that this discourse is a very limited reading of Muslim women's movements in India. We know that Muslim women have been part and parcel of every movement for justice, both in the private and the public sphere. And to recall one such woman, I think in this time, Jayasree, who is currently fighting a very, very, very long case. A case that almost in material terms is doomed to fail. But she is nevertheless fighting. Of Bilkis Bano, of the other Bilkis Bano of Shaheen Bagh, of so many Muslim women who are fighting for their husbands, their children, their brothers, their families, as they are imprisoned under UAPA. We all know this. We know them. So when people say, and when people descend upon our protests and our movements and try to rationalize and try to theorize them and say that this is the first time that Muslim women have come out, oh, this is the first time that Muslim women have rebelled. No. We have our own history and we have always been telling it. So, to the oppressors in the form of appropriation and silencing, we tell you that your time is over. Muslim women are entering the university. Muslim women are entering every possible space that is permitted to them by the Creator to work in a way that is just, to work in a way that brings about change in society. And to those who, in the form of gender Islamophobia, maim our bodies, hurt us, attack us, troll us, we tell them that you may maim us physically, but our soul belongs to our Creator, and there is nothing that can come between that relationship. And today I would like to say that I do not see disappointment and I do not see despair. I see a world that is very difficult, but I also see a world where, as a university student, I see more and more and more Muslim women entering these spaces, these very challenging, scary spaces. To take a recent example, in the Jawaharlal Nehru University admissions, you know that there has been blatant and gross discrimination that has happened not just against SC, ST, OBC, PWD students, and many of these students are also Muslim students. A friend of mine, when she was called for her Viva, a brilliant, wonderful student was called for her Viva, all she was asked was, what is your opinion of the Prophet, peace be upon him? And, other provocative questions that had nothing to do with her subject. And when she refused to take the bait and answer in any way that was in violation of her faith, she was told to log off and leave. So, what is this if not gendered Islamophobia? But these women persist. You may kick them out or keep them out of some university, of one space, but they are working and they will find a way to bring you to justice and bring justice for themselves. So even if you keep one of us down, there are 10 more of us who will not only emerge and enter into these arenas, but ensure that the one who was kept out is not forgotten. And as somebody who is working in a magazine, who is working in a women's magazine, what gives me great joy, an immense amount of joy, is to see so many Muslim women think critically, write critically about any and every issue in society that they see. To see these women emerge out of their cocoons, out of their self-doubt and self-anxiety, I think it is a beautiful feeling. And that self-doubt and self-anxiety is something that is fed and fostered by the society we live in. We are told that no, you're not good enough. No, you are like this and like that. But what I would like to say is that these Muslim women know that they are answerable only to their Creator. And with that in mind, they are capable of much, much, much more. And so I would like to conclude. I don't have much else to say, because I feel that a lot of the things that I would want to say are things that I have learned from the discourse that Muslim women's movements, Islamic movements like yourself have taught me. So in the end, I would just like to say all the best. May the Creator shower His blessings upon you. May Allah Almighty keep you steadfast on your path now and forever.